Hey Stencil fans, today we are all about countdowns. We're gonna count down to Christmas. Love Christmas. So we're gonna use, we're gonna paint this one, but we're gonna show you different ways that you can use countdowns. Chalk, magnets, buffalo plaid, beautiful dreamy stuff, all painted with chalk. Wait until you see. Stay tuned, we're gonna get into the details. All right, guys, as promised, we are going to have so much fun with Christmas countdowns. We all know we have so many kids, we have so many grandkids, and they love to count down. Candy and sugar is a little bit of a thing these days. You're not supposed to have it so much, so we thought we would do our countdowns with no calories. So we did this one with a magnet. Whoops, hey, my magnet fell off. So you can just move it along, and the magnet keeps it stuck, so you can move on down along, and that makes it amazing and super easy. So you can put a string on that, hang it on a door, the kids can move it along. Make sure this is what the magnet looks like on the back, and just make sure that if you have small children, that can fall off sometimes. Just be aware of that. You don't want them eating that or putting it up their nose and stuff like that. So the neat thing though is we have done 4 different countdowns, and we have more than that on the website. So this is great for if you have many grandchildren or many children. You can make different versions. You can make one for yourself, you can have one in the office, all that kind of stuff. I always love to count down until the magic day. So I'm going to show you how to paint this, but first I want to show you what kind of prizes we're going to have. So we're live, which means we're answering your questions live, and we're going to do a recast tonight at 9. So make sure if you missed today at noon, you can go tonight at 9 and you can get your questions answered. And you can meet a lot of other stencilers. So we're all stencil fans. And so let me show you one. Our grand prize, I'll start with that because we like to start with the big stuff first, is a shopping spree. If you post your pictures of stenciled things on our website, on Facebook, if you post things that you've stenciled on Facebook, then you get a point for every one that you've posted. If you post something that you've painted with our stencils, StudioR12 stencils, then you get double the points. You get 2 times the points. So that makes it wonderful. And then it's the easiest $30 you'll ever earn. You get put in a drawing and you can earn a $30 shopping spree on our website. So that's amazing. Put that there. And you like, share, and comment to earn that. And we also have another prize, which is 2 stencils, and that is Christmas trees and Christmas ornaments. Are these not adorable? I love these. You can use them either way, both of them, and you could use them individually or whatever. They're amazing. So we've got 2 prizes for you in these lives. So let's get started. I have a book that I have made. I'm calling these stencil books. We're using the disc journal storage organization system where I can make any one of my stencils into a book. I love that. Okay, everything. Glasses. If somebody can hook me up with glasses, that would be fabulous. So we make it into a book, and you can just take your stencils, pop them into there, and you have everything that I've used for all of these stencils is here. And then I wanted to share these. Let me tear these right on out of there. Isn't that cool? They just come right out. I used this big guy for the bell, for the Polar Express type bell project that says Believe. I used this one, and you can do big bells, and you can have jingle bells and ringing bells and all that kind of stuff. But our stencils are really cool. Unlike everybody else, we have sizes and everything. Thank you so much, Carrie. I forgot them. So we have sizes and everything. So you can get from this size to this size, all the way up to this size. These are fabulous for school projects. They're fabulous for journal projects. They're fabulous for bulletin boards. You can trace the things and cut them out. There's so many things you can do with our stencils. It's absolutely really amazing. But these little disc journals, we have affiliate links down below. This is not something that I carry on our website because there's just so many things with imports and stuff right now. But this is a punch that you just put your stencil into. Let me see if I have one that's not punched. I'm going to pretend and just punch the edge of one of these guys. So you just pop that in there. I've already pre-punched everything. I'm very, very prepared today. Put that in there and then pop. And then it makes these little pin type things. And you put your pin punch things right onto your discs and it secures it. And then when you need it, you just pop it out. Super easy. Okay, and what I love about this is that's a lot of weight. That's a lot of stencils. Like this is very, very, very sturdy. So you don't have to worry about it falling apart. And then what I really love about it, underneath this mess I have down here, I have many of these little books built. What I love about this is I can pick that one up. I can pick that one up. And nothing gets tangled, nothing gets messy, and I can tell what they are. Oh, this one doesn't have a punch right there. Interesting. So it helps when you do this to make sure that I put this in the book one off. So we'll go here and we'll get it straightened out. And that's how you pop it in there. Okay, and I'm actually missing a ring and it's still super, super sturdy. Okay, and sometimes if you have J-hooks on the back end, this is what we normally hang our stencils with. This is J-hook. I think it's a J-hook. Anyway, I can't peel these off. They're super, there we go. But these will hook into your stencils. So that's one of the reasons I don't really like them. But really good for organization. So I can have, I've got this one done with candy cane stripes because it's our Christmas, right? So I put red and white. And the disc rings come, I think this is one of the best organization systems I've ever seen. They come in a jillion colors. It's like a little treasure trove, isn't it? And you can just make a color system for everything that you have, and you're going to be able to tell where your word stencils are, your tool stencils are, your whatever your stencil organization needs are. Okay, so I'm going to get all these. I need this guy right here because that's what we're working with today. And I'm going to put these all back down. Okay, so we're going to take our Nativity stencil, and it has, let's get him, I've got some adhesive. This is interesting. So we've used adhesive on the stencil. This is our, I'll show you how to do this, but I've used a little bit of adhesive, and sometimes that'll stick on there and stick into my finger, and that actually doesn't seem to be a problem. But this is our Nativity stencil. And what we have here, these are the punches that I punched. We have the shelter, I guess I'm going to call it a shelter, Mary and Joseph, baby Jesus, and then we have the different animals. We have an angel, we have a star, and we have the shepherds and then trees. And what I love is the scene of Jerusalem back here. So we're going to take that, and that's going to be where we start. Okay, so let me get out of my own way. So I'm going to take my Jerusalem scene, and that's the sticky side that I did. And I needed, so this piece right here is extremely floppy. And that's holding the stencil together, but that's about all it's doing. So what I did is I put my stencil on my palette paper. This is a good reason to use palette paper because it's flat. And the stencil is going to be super sticky. So once I put this on, and my palette paper is going to be sticky. So I just took this and I just rolled it on, and it's a repositionable adhesive. And so I did it all the way around, all the details. Okay, I'm gonna keep my lid on. I think it will dry out. I haven't tried that, but I think it will. Okay, and I will get that later. And then we're gonna roll it over, and we're gonna put it at the top. So it kind of stuck over here on my palette paper, but not too bad. Okay, and I'll look at my sample and I'll see what I did. So I've based this project in like a dark navy blue. And these are honey bottles. These are on our affiliate links. They are pretty amazing. And our paints are in such bulk containers that we have to put them in smaller containers to use. And I want to show you something cool. We literally paint by the bulk. Okay, so we have 4 or 5 painters painting all the time. And I just want to point out, this is one day's brushes from me. Okay, so that is how many brushes. This was 3 projects that I painted. 1 was already painted. And that's how many brushes I used for one thing. So I just wanted to share that. If you paint a lot, what we figure is you probably need, if you're a pro painter and you're doing shows and all that kind of stuff, you probably are going to need like maybe 50 or 60 brushes. If you're somebody that paints 2 or 3 projects in 3 or 4 days, probably 20 to 25 brushes total will do you. And if you're somebody that only paints once a week, then the basic set of 5 will do you, because the paint brushes have to be dry to use them. So know that you can't like have them in water and then pick them out and then just reuse them. This will not be good to use for probably 2 or 3 days. They have to dry out, and they're so thick that it takes a day or 2 to dry out. And you can put a fan under them and do some other things, but you need to plan ahead or have enough brushes. And we have, I don't know, probably thousands of brushes. Okay, so the way we did our paint was, make sure you like, sharing, and comment. And by the way, hello. I haven't said hello yet. I'm so glad that you joined us, and I'm excited that you're here. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what the weather's doing. The weather's always doing something weird in Ohio. Okay, I'm gonna take a kind of a baby blue, kind of tealy sort of almost color, and I'll put it next to my color, next to my navy blue. And I'm gonna make a lighter blue than this. So when you want to make something lighter, you wanna take something that is lighter and mix it into something that is darker, okay? And in this case, normally what you do is you mix your dark into your light. But in this case, I'm lightening my dark, so I'm gonna go the opposite way. And I've got this really awesome, skinny little Italian palette knife. It's an offset palette knife. Really good for just mixing and whipping your paint. It's the least useful one, so if you have to make a choice, I would use this one as a general all-purpose palette knife. And then this one is a scraper, applier kind of thing. So these 2 are the ones, if you had to choose, this is a really good mixer. I really do like it. I've been in love with that palette knife for years and years and years. But it's the least many jobs. It doesn't do as many jobs as those do. Okay, so we'll mix that up. Okay, I always want to let you guys know the best tools to get. And if you had to make decisions, like what would you choose? Okay, so we have this skyline here that we want to do. So we're going to go into a dome brush. We're going to pick up our paint with dry brush, dry paint, no water in our paint, no wetness in our brush. Pick it up on the tip of our brush, and we are going to dry it off on a paper towel about 15 times. We've had some kids painting with us recently, and when I said 15, they were like 1, 2, 3. And I think that sometimes us as adults, we could do a little bit more of that. I think that when we count and make sure you're doing it, because like we get in a hurry, so you pick it up and you go 3. But if you took a little bit more time and you just did the 15 count, you won't bleed under at all. So that's the biggest complaint that everybody has about painting with stencils, is that you bleed under. Okay, so we're gonna go up here. I do not want to do anything with this line. This line is holding my stencil together, period. Okay, that is all it's there for. It is not there for me to make a line with. I could make a line with it, but that's not what it's there for. So I'm gonna stipple right around my edges, staying away from that line. If I did that line, it would be a harsh line, and then I would have a hard time fading it down. So we'll just stipple, pick up more paint. If you pick up more paint, it's 15 more times around the globe, okay? Do not short circuit this. This is the secret to the thing. Do not not do 15. If you're really good and you just feel like you're like, I know how much paint I'm getting, go for it. But if you are having any problems bleeding under, please do the 15 because you're gonna be happy that you do. And anytime you don't have to fix something, it's good. Okay, so we're gonna go there. We're gonna bring it down as close as I can to that line without being on that line. Okay, and now I have to dry that with the blow dryer because we're gonna highlight it. Notice that it doesn't move. Isn't that cool? I love that. I love that repositionable adhesive. Okay, so I'm gonna pick up some of this highlight color. I'm gonna rub it off on the paper towel, and then I'm gonna go right at the top of my skyline. And I'm just gonna do the tops and I'm gonna fade down. I'm not gonna bring it as far down as everything as I already did. So do the top and then I'm gonna go across the base of it and feather it out. There are so many techniques. I am so glad that you're here today because when I was painting this sample, I was so excited. So welcome to the exciting world of DIY. I was thinking about this, like where else in the universe can you say what your colors are, say how you're gonna paint it, say what kind of detail you're gonna do, make it for the person that you intend to. Like if he likes black and orange, you can be like, here's your black and orange sign. If she likes pink and posies, you can be like pink and posies. This is amazing. It is exciting to do DIY because you get to decide all the things. It's incredible. Our stencils are reusable and they are washable. So you don't have to worry that you're gonna just buy it once and be stuck. You're gonna have it forever. This stencil is something that you can take just parts of things out and use them in card making and all that stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this stencil off and now we have our beautiful skyline. Okay, but now we're going to, I'm gonna move this someplace. We're going to continue that color down. I'm gonna put this brush into the new bucket of water. I will be cleaning brushes for a really long time today. Okay, so we'll take our paint and our foam brush. This is a poly foam brush. It's one of our affiliate links below. And we're going to just base the base of this. See how there's a dusting of that line? I don't want any of that. I want to fade that out. I shouldn't have put that brush in the water. Sometimes that's why I use so many brushes. I forget and I just plop it in there and then I need it and then I'm like, why did I do that? So I'll grab a different brush. So up here, I'm just gonna fade. Hi, guy. Somebody. So this is interesting. I'm gonna fade that paint before I talk about why that's interesting. So I'm gonna fade that down by scumbling that paint together. Okay, and then this guy right here, he is hard. Okay, so what's happening here is the paint has been allowed to dry inside the center area of the brush, and you can get that out if you use a brush cleaner, but this is a really big brush. It's gonna take a really lot of work, and the best thing to do is to keep your brushes immersed in water when you're done with them, and then clean them when you're done with the ginger grater. That's in the brush video that we'll link up above. Okay, so just keep your brushes clean and you won't have that. So there goes, $5 that I'll never see again because that brush is trash. Okay, and I'll have to mix some more paint. So I'll get that up at the top. We'll fade that out. So tell us what you love about painting. What are you working on? What's on your workbench right now? What's on your painting table? Okay, I'm gonna fade that in. There's a lot of stuff going on top of this. You're not gonna see your fade when you get done. Okay, so don't worry too much. Don't get stressed about it. All right, now I need more of this paint. So I love, we go through every single week and we read every single solitary comment that you make. We love to hear what you have to say. We love to see what you're doing. We literally are here, we're in business for you. I don't know that you get too many of those things when you're buying things from multinational corporations and things like that. I don't know that you get that same feeling, but we definitely, we're here and we care and we want to know. So anything that you want to share with us, we want to hear. Okay, and I'll continue. And then while this is drying, I will show you what's cool about those other countdowns. Got a little piece of, we call them like boogers. It's just floating around in there, getting kicked around, and we're just not going to worry about it. It'll peel right off when we start drying. When it dries, we'll just flick it off and it'll be fine. Brush hairs are the same way. Don't worry about them. Okay, so we'll get that there. Brush in the water. If you don't put your brush in the water, it will dry. Paint drying is an oxidative process. That means that when paint comes in contact with oxygen, it dries. So it oxidizes the paint. The air oxidizes the paint, and that means it's going to dry. That's why if you leave this brush out, I'm going to tuck it into my paper towel so it doesn't get air. And if you leave your paintbrush out, then everything will harden, and that's what happened to that poor brush right there. All right, so let's talk about this guy, this Believe project. This is a take on the Polar Express kind of thing, where if you hear the bell ring, then you believe, then you're a true believer. And so we've got the Believe word, we've got some spattering. This is interesting. A lot of people think that you have to buy chalkboard paint in order to have chalkboard effect. You do not. So you can do regular acrylic paint, and that's what we use, acrylic paint. And you can do a matte varnish on it and still have a chalkboard. This has not been varnished, but I'll dip into water since we're not supposed to be licking things and doing stuff. But chalk erases with water, spit, eraser, all the things. And I need a towel. Okay, so just a little damp towel will do that. And so as you go along, we've got our chalk holder, which is super, super cool. You push, I've got my armpit holding up the one thing. So you push on this guy, and that opens up this little cage, and then that will slide right out. And then if you put it into this guy, these two things, I think these are both things that we carry on our website. Whoopsie, hey, don't pop the whole thing out. Let me find the right side. There we go. So you put it in there, and you just sharpen. And it does two sizes. And then you have sharpened chalk. And I, myself, do not love the feeling of chalk. I'm going to take that off in the trash. So I love having a chalk holder. So we push on that, it opens it up, we fit that in there, and then you have it. And then you can be like, December 25th. There we are. Now it's time for me to open my presents. Thank you for sending me presents. Okay, so super fun to do it with chalk. But this one right here, we used a magnet, but I want to show you one more chalk thing before we stop talking about chalk. I love this board because the board is a sort of like looking like plank board's fake thing. It's actually just a cut MDF board, but I love that it looks rugged and cool. This entire piece was painted. So this is our red paint, but it is crackled over crackle medium, and then I've antiqued it, and then we put some, boards. That's the whole background is like that. But then we painted the whole thing using chalk. So what we did is we laid our stencil down, and then we outlined, using the stencil as a template, we outlined the basic shape, and then we gave it these hash mark kind of things, and we blended it with little blendy brushes. It's amazing technique. Then we spray it all with a fixative. So once you spray it with a fixative, then it's there for good, okay? So you can't rub that stuff off. But then right here, what we've done is we've left a place for you to put like 5, 10, 25, whatever the countdown days are, and then you can count it down that way. And what I love about all of the different ways we have to count down is it's good for, this is like almost a little bit more grown up. These are a little bit more like faith-based. There's so many ways to express yourself. Love it. Okay, so that's chalk. You look in the links in the description for all the video links for that. And then while I'm brushing this mat off, this mat is amazing, and this is an affiliate link too, but we paint on this all the time and it cleans up like a snap. We get done crazy doing so many projects. We spray it with the Zep stuff, it's the only cleaner we've tried. Once it worked, I didn't try anything else. I'm sure many things will work, but we just spray it, let it sit for a minute, and then we use a little cello sponge and we wipe it up, and it's a snap, and it keeps a big surface very clean. Okay, so let's go on. I think I tried to talk it dry, but I didn't. Let's get this dry with a blow dryer. So what I did when I started my project is, in order to establish dark and light, I went ahead and I put my star where I wanted my star. So I knew I wanted it offset, and I knew I kind of wanted it, I'm going to flip this, which side is my sticky side? Okay, that's the sticky side. I knew I wanted it to cup that circle, so I kind of just centered it, cupping the circle with a little bit of the star shape into the city. Okay, we'll take this guy and a very light gray. We don't try not to talk about colors too much, so when you think about colors, try to think in darkest to lightest, white being the lightest, black being the darkest, and then try to think about, is this a white color or a dark color or a black color? It's someplace in between, so think of it like a color scale, and that will help you. So this is probably 2 steps away from a white. And so that's the kind of gray we're using. You could use a warm gray, a cool gray. There's so many ways you could do it. So I'm starting with gray because I don't want to jump right to white, because I want to have, and I think my star is crooked. Hang on a second, let me get that straightened out. My crown is crooked, right? So I'm starting with gray because I want to highlight with white. If I start with white, it's going to be stark right away, and that's going to be a problem. So I'll just get that stippled on there. Okay, and now that's got a little placeholder. Now this is a really cool technique. I think you guys are going to have your hippie noodle blown. It's amazing. Okay, so we're going to get our paper towel over here. I'm going to go into my gray, kind of do 15 laps, and then I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to draw it up and down. I don't want to stop suddenly, so you want to kind of feather up when you're doing this. So I'm just going to take this, and you do want to give yourself room so that your arm can move. If you're bumping into your belly or your hips or whatever, then you're going to get stuck. So make sure that you have room to draw your arm. Okay, so I'll do this. Bring it down. Just brush off the little excess stuff. And then I'm going to do all of the branches of the star first. I'm going to start strongly from the star and then fade out from there. It's important that you keep straight lines. So now I'm in the in-between. I'm going to do the in-between lines, the in-between details. And they're not going to be as long as this guy right here. But this guy is, because he's off to the side, it won't matter. Okay, and then we'll come over here, do the same thing. And we'll go here. He won't matter because he's going off the edge. We're just going to build this star shine. Okay, now we're going to do in between those. So if you attack it in segments, that's going to be the way to go. So tell us what your favorite thing that you're painting right now is. I feel like sometimes I get involved and I just talk. Like, share, and comment. Make sure that you're telling us what you want to know. Share about our brushes. We know you love our brushes. That's the number one thing that we do right now is educate people on using the brushes so that you can successfully use these stencils. If you can't draw a stick figure, you can use a stencil. And that is good news, isn't it? Because I'm not a very good stick figure drawer either. Okay, so we're gonna go in between. And we're just gonna split the difference on all of these and give it the rest of the star shine. Isn't that such a cool technique? As you come down to the bottom of pulling the brush, you're going to fade. You're gonna swoop up a little bit. Definitely need to use straight lines. If you reload and everything's kind of getting faded and stuff like that, you need to make sure that you're not reloading and not letting it fade off. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit more there. There we go. Okay, so that establishes that. I'm looking at my piece to make sure that I've got what I think I want. I'm gonna intensify towards the upper area a little bit. Now I have a path to follow, so I don't have to turn it to keep straight. Isn't that the coolest technique? I love it. We're not done yet. Okay, brush goes in the water, and I think this one gets to go in the water too. That's why we use so many brushes, right? All right, so we're gonna start with our Nativity. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna get our T-square. T-squares are super valuable because lining things up, train wreck if you aren't very careful. Really, really big train wreck. Okay. So this is a ghostwriter. This is a triple threat ghostwriter. This has a white lead, a gray lead, and they're not really leads, they're soapstone. And then a stylus that, rollerball stylus that doesn't have any ink. So, and then it also has a eraser on the back side. So it's a 4-in-1 tool. And I didn't know when we first started carrying this, I did not know that there were 4 tools. I thought there were only 3. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our little Nativity here. I'm gonna pull it up. I want it centered here so I can go right here with my T-square, whoops, upside down. And I can be like, okay, am I in the middle of that hole? I am not. So I can pull that over. And now I feel like I am, good. And now I can come here. I'm good. Well, that will be straight. Come down here. Keep your T-square out of your paint. And so you can see, if I can show Rusty this real quick, you can see that even though I thought I was straight, I'm probably almost, that's 1/8 of an inch down to 0 right here. So what I can do is I can just rotate that down, and now I'm straight. So T-square is valuable. If you get to the end of your project and you are crooked, you're gonna be so sad. So be careful of that. Get some tools, figure it out. Okay, so I'm going to do the black paint on the Nativity shelter. Trying to think of what that would be called. No, it's not a cave, so I don't know what else it would be called. Okay, so we'll wind that off. And now this is where we're going to get into this masking tool, the MultiMasker. Today, while I was finishing up doing my samples and stuff like that, I was so impressed about how many times I needed this tool and how I did without it for years. And I think I did so much taping and spent so much time. It's a terrible, terrible thing. Okay, so I'm just going to stipple. And the MultiMasker, see how close that star is to that? The MultiMasker just masks the stars so I don't get a bunch of extra ghosting lines everywhere. So get that nice and solid. Now we'll go in here. This is going to be pretty close. All right, so what are some of your holiday traditions? Like, we have always had countdowns. We've been kind of bad about them. We'll start them, and then the kids will eat all of the chocolate, and then you don't have a countdown anymore, and then they forget about it and it's gone. So I do kind of like the idea of doing something without candy, because the kids lose interest once there's no candy reward. And what I also love about these is they will store flat. So you can put them in your Christmas box with your Christmas ornaments at the bottom of the box, wrap a piece of paper around them, and you know, it's good for years and years and years and years to come. So this is something, the gift that keeps on giving. You can pass this down through generations. Okay, so we're going to be done with that. And there we have our little nativity shelter. Now I'm going to go ahead and blow dry that so I can continue going. Okay, really handy. I put a little hook on the side of, or I think Steve might have put the hook, maybe Randy put the hook, but put a hook on the side of the table, and it's amazing. So that's a really nice addition, is add you a hook for your blow dryer. Oh, and then we put a zip tie around our thing to make it a bigger hook so it's not hard to hang. So I'm going to use my T-square because I have more bits and bobs to go here. I'm going to use the white soapstone and just put a faint line so I know where straight is. Okay, then we'll bring our stencil back. I love these little story stencils. That's what we started these out. These are this is like STCL 139. We have 5,000 something stencils now, not including sizes. So I think we have something like 15 or 20,000 stencils. But this is number 139, and we started these doing like little stories. So you can take and do the whole nativity story and make cards and make wrapping paper, all the things. Like, this is a stencil. You can do window. You can blow the snow onto your windows with them. You'd have to mask a little bit to make the story right, but the kids would have so much fun with these as well as you. So we're gonna start with little baby Jesus, get him in the middle. So I'm gonna need my T-square again so I make sure I'm centered. Yeah. So you're there, and he's off center just a little bit. I definitely want him centered. Okay. And then we want him on that line. So I'm going to drop him down. Tell you what, indispensable tools. You need these things. You will use them over and over again. A couple people made a comment on something that I was answering, and you know, they're like, oh, I guess I have to buy another thing. Well, you'll never have to buy it again. Like, this is like, you know, 8 years old. So once you own it, and you don't have to worry about getting it again and again. You just have to be equipped to be able to do the thing. Okay, so this MultiMasker tool, he looks like a little bit like a laughing guy with kind of a little bit of a large nose. But he's got sharp areas, and he's got rolling areas, and he's got straight areas, and there's a measuring device. There's all the things. You can do organic things with it. It's an amazing, amazing tool. Okay, so we'll get baby Jesus. Where do I need to mask you, sir? I think up here. And we'll come around. There's polka dots on this thing. There's checks. How many of you own one of these already? Because I feel like it's been out now long enough that you are like, yeah, we've got this. Share with other people. I think that's the thing that I love the best about our groups, is that you guys talk in the comments and you talk to each other and you share about how great these brushes are. I didn't share that they're dome brushes and that they're shaped so that you won't get any pushing or bleeding under. That's an amazing piece of these brushes. Okay, so we're gonna go lift that up. I've got a big old hair through there, but we're gonna brush it off when it's dry. I'll hit the blow dryer. On there too. So if you picked a hair off and it left a line, you lay the stencil right back on top and you're ready to go again. You can just totally paint it again. Okay, so we're gonna get Mother Mary in there. And I think she's far enough away from most of the stuff that I think she'll be okay. And do you notice I'm stippling? Is that not weird? You never see me stippling. The reason I'm stippling is because I'm going to get really strong coverage and I don't have to do it twice or 3 times. Now we're going to, because we're working with the same stencil, we're going to run it through the paint if we're not careful. So I'm going to be a little bit careful. Now we'll get Mr. Joseph done. So stippling will get it done in 1 coat if you have a little bit of heavy paint on your brush. Be careful, not too sloppy, otherwise you will bleed under. No bleeding. Okay, and pull that up and dry it. Okay, now we can go. I'm going to go ahead and go down to the countdown while I'm doing these because I have 2 or 3 things going on at the same time. Just lift that out. Another stencil storage that we have that we really do love, and we use this in we have workshops in our downtown shop that we have, our retail shop, that is like it's a boutique and stuff like that. But we have so many stencils that you could never put them in a book. You have to hang them so you can numericalize them. So that's what we've got going on back here, is we've got all these stencils on this like curtain rod, the wire curtain rod, and they've got these little hooks with these little things on them so that you can hook them right on the wire. They just clip on and off. Really amazing way to store stencils. You can put 3 or 4 on the same one, and then you can put them in whatever order you want with like dividers and stuff like that. And they kind of just all stack up. So they don't actually have to be spread out like that. There's a lot of room. Okay, so now we're gonna go here. Now I did a drop shadow on this with my brush. I have been painting for 30 plus years and sometimes I cheat, but let me show you how to drop shadow using your stencil. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take something, a little brush, and we're just gonna dust a color. So I didn't drop shadow my grid, so I'm gonna use the dusting of the gray on the grid in the 4 corners to show me where I need to be when I come back to center, and you'll see what I mean in just a second. So how many of you tried the drop shadowing with your stencils? Have you done it? Are you afraid? Sometimes it can be so intimidating to try new things. What I tell people to do when they are nervous about trying a new technique is get one of those ding-dang boxes that come in the mail. Right now we're ordering everything via mail. Go get a box, cut it apart, use it as a practice sheet. Okay, so I'm going to pull that off. Now I want to have my drop shadow down a touch and over to one side. So I'm going to drop my stencil. See, I don't know if you can get this or not. But so I'll line it back up. And then I'm going to pull it down so that I get an even relief where I can still see the paint. And then I'm going to shove it over to that way so that I should be able to see a little bit of the dark background and a little bit there, and it should be equal. Oops, and then I smudge the whole thing, yay. Okay, so it's a game of balance here. Okay, and then we're gonna tape, 2 pieces of tape. And I'm not doing drop shadow on the grid, I'm only doing it on the numbers, so that makes it like a little bit, oops, I feel like that line is showing me I'm not quite equal. Man, it's a dance. Need it to dance back down. Sometimes I really like moving this stencil with the tape on it. I feel like according to my chalk line, I'm not quite straight, so I'm playing with that. Okay, let's find the black brush. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go all over these numbers with the black. And that's gonna be establishing our drop shadow. The minute that I learned about this drop shadow, if you guys, as Hippie Noodle is blowing right now, it's okay to put that in the chat, like blown. When I first heard about this, I was at a trade show. We had hundreds of stencils, not thousands yet, hundreds, and I'd never heard of such a thing, you know, adding a drop shadow, because drop shadow is something that supremely challenges people with freehand brushing. So to be able to do it with your stencil is magic. Okay, so just get that all over all these numbers. Okay, and I think what we're gonna do is we're not gonna do everything just to save time, because I think this could get long and I don't wanna do that. So I'm gonna pull this off and I'm gonna dry that with the dryer. You see me touching it as I go and what I'm doing, and oh my goodness, how did I get ghosting? Okay, ghosting. Ghosting's a thing. The threat is real. Okay, here we go. So see these little ghosty lines right here? What's happened is, as my brush was bigger than what I was doing with my, I was swirling and I went into my line. So I needed my masking tool. So I'm going to dip my PVC eraser. I'm going to show you this first. So it's just a click eraser. It's made out of PVC. But you wet it and it will erase your ghosting lines. It will erase your bleeding underlines. So you need to share this. You need to scream from the rooftops and be like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing. Because it will save your bacon every time. It will not erase your paint if your eraser is dry. So your eraser has to be wet. Where else? Oh my, I got it everywhere. Shh, shh, I'm a professional. Okay, so there, ghosting gone. I didn't do anything. All right, so that's the black. Do I need black? I need black probably one more time. I think that we're gonna say on this Oh Holy Night down here, this is going to be the same technique as these letters, so I'm not probably going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how to do the magic stuff, and then I'm going to show you how to do the on-top color. So that's what we're going to call that. So I think, I'll do the animals too, just so we can see them. All right, so we're going to take our stencil, lay it right back on top. I think the thing that I love the best about when we do videos and stuff like that is that we aren't afraid to show you when we mess up. So I like to show you when I mess up, and I like to show you how to fix the mess up. I don't like being fake. I want to be like legit. Okay, so we lay this back over exactly where our lines are. Make sure we're lined up on all four corners. And then we take a brush and now I can go everywhere with it. Okay, so we're gonna go right over the top of everything. I'll do this top row. Stay out of your disc journal areas. If you can't stay out of them, get your tool, get your masking tool. MultiMasker, it's magic. And this is exclusive with us. Nobody else has one. One of the things that we like to do here is we like to invent tools. for things that cause you problems. So we like to just kind of pretend to invent. Okay, so we'll get going. Make sure you're like, sharing, and commenting so that you can win prizes. So the easiest $30 shopping spree you will ever win will be just from sharing with your fellow stencil fans. So share with them and show them what you're doing. It will inspire them, and you will potentially earn a $30 shopping spree. Like, obviously you're going to be drawn with the other people, but like, that's one of our, probably we get 20, 30 a week or something like that, but we don't get tons and tons. So it's a really good odds that you might get drawn. Now we're turned into gambling. All right, I'm going to stop right there, and then I'm going to lift and show you guys. Okay, so here's our reveal. So see how easy that was? Look at that perfect drop shadow. So easy. So easy, and it's perfect. If you even looked at my drop shadow over here, you would see that it's irregular and all this kind of stuff. This is absolutely textbook, absolutely spot on. Okay, so that is amazing. And let's show you the other animals, show you the other critters. We are kind of probably running into, I'm going to show you the other two countdowns, but I think we're kind of coming into the home stretch here. Make sure you like, share, and comment. Get our critters. So we've got our little Mr. Donkey Face is just poking his head into the scene. Okay, and so we'll let him just join us. And then on the other side, we have Mr. Moo Cow. And that line at the bottom of the things are helping me so much. Stenciling or stippling takes so much more work. I love to swirl, but sometimes swirling, hey, Mr. Hair, swirling is not okay, and sometimes we just have to go ahead and do the stippling. All right, now we'll get Mr. Little Sheepy. Okay, and then there's our first family doing our thing. Isn't that wonderful? I love that. So this is really fun. We've had a lot of luck with kids stenciling. We do workshops and stuff like painting workshops at our boardroom retail shop in Gallipolis. And the kids come in, and once you explain the rules to them, the 15 swirls and all of that, they do a phenomenal job. So this is something that you can do with your kids. It's good, wholesome entertainment that you have a couple bottles of paint and you give them some cardboard, you give them some spare boards or whatever like that. Let them go to town. Base coat over it next week. Do another thing. Like, it's so good. It's so creative. Okay, so I want to show you how to embellish the star. We're going to get into that round brush. Hopefully I can find my round brush. Ooh, and I have to show you the snowflake too. Nothing like changing the subject. So on this guy right here, we have done buffalo plaid. Okay, so on that note, earlier I think I mentioned it, but if you don't like red check buffalo plaid, do it in blue, do it in green, do it in black and white. You can do any color that you want, pink, green. This buffalo plaid is phenomenal at Easter. It's great in the summertime. It is universally year-round. And then don't you love this little snowman guy? Whoopsie. Move him this way so he can mark down the days. Just so much fun. But and then this is a new style with a little bit of a gingham or lacy kind of base to it, and I just think all these tags are so cool. Okay, and then this guy we showed, and this guy gets a snowflake, and I'll show you that after I show you the star. Okay, round brush. Somewhere I have a round brush. Sometimes it's forest and trees here. There we are. I found him. Okay, so this is a round brush, and not all round brushes are created equal. They're literally are some of the world's worst round brushes, living around calling themselves round brushes. This one is legit and it does its job. A round brush that is legit will keep a point. It will keep it together so that it forms like a pointy, like flowy thing. You always use water when you use round brushes, and you liquefy your paint to like a milky consistency. Okay, a little bit more. And you load it all the way to the top of the ferrule. The ferrule is the silver thing that's holding everything together. You load it to the top, and then if you think about a round brush like a soda straw, if you plug the top, you suck it up, and then you plug the top, it stores the paint, and then when you release that top suction thing, it'll release the paint to the tip as you go. So that's why round brushes are cool, because they release the flow of the paint as your paintbrush touches the surface. And let me show you an example of that on the back of here. Let's do this. I don't know, Rusty, can you get this? So get that loaded so I'm not talked right. So if I hold my brush straight up and down, and I just keep it on its toe, and that's not showing very well. Let's go into black so you can see it better. You've got to hold your round brushes straight up and down. You only need one round brush, just one will do you, and then you just have to take really good care of it, otherwise you'll trash it and it'll be bad. So if you balance on your tippy toes, then you can go and 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 go, right? If I do not balance on my tippy toe and I do this, I run out of paint that quick. So balancing on your tippy toe is how you do it. And then I think, honestly, that this paint was dry, wasn't wet enough, it wasn't milky enough. So I hope you're finding this, I hope you geek out over brushes as much as I do. And if you don't go away, because everything else I have to say is good. But geeking out on brushes I think is super cool, because then you're gonna know how it works, right? So, all right, so now let's see if we can get that to go further, longer, faster. It's a little bit running out. So yeah, I still don't think I have enough paint, and it could be that this back of my board is unsealed. So it's probably sucking the water up. So did you notice what I did just there? I fully loaded my paintbrush. And then when I rinsed it, I just went in there and I just swished it out, and then I click it on the side, and then as long as I don't see any color right down here, I just pinch it out, I reshape it, it goes right back into this. I never put it in this bucket of brushes, okay? So because then you'll damage its head. Okay, so now we're gonna, need that back out. Now we're gonna go and decorate our star. So I'm gonna pick up the white paint, and what we're gonna do is we're going to, through our stencil, and you have to be careful of this. I would do this without my stencil, but I'm showing you, let's do this without using the round brush for this part. Let me show you using the dome. Never use watery paint with your dome brushes. So I'll lay that back over, and I'll give it a really bold, bright center right there. And now we have a white star. Then I'll take my round brush, and I'll just kind of put these little dots, not too regular, all the way down, and I'll follow all the lines. And you want it to kind of fade. Don't let it be too strong. Once you get down here, it should be fading. Okay. And then just continue on all of the edges. And let me finish over here. Don't run your hands through these. Once they're wet, they're really wet, so you want to be careful to let it dry. And then like I'll blot that with one touch of my finger just to make it fade. Okay, so that's how we get this faded look. Okay, and then on your lettering, you can also take, if you want to, with your liner brush, and just give it a little touches of highlights. You could do it with your stencil too. You don't have to do it with your liner brush, but there are other ways to do things. You can use a brush too. So that's a way to just give it highlights. I wouldn't highlight all of this detail. And I think that might be it. Don't forget to do the recast tonight. If you didn't see everything, we're on YouTube. So if you make sure when you're on YouTube, you're not going to be able to win prizes when you see it then, but if you're on YouTube, you go ahead and you subscribe, and then you ring the bell once you subscribe. And I'm looking to see. Oh, the snowflake. Carrie's so smart. Let me show you the snowflake. But while you're on YouTube, we have hundreds of videos on YouTube, and so you want to make sure that you are subscribing so that when we get new content out, you can learn everything that you can about your craft, because isn't that the best part about having a craft? So let's find our snowflake. There's one. There he is. Okay, so snowflake's super easy, and you're going to love this. We are going to take a dome brush and some white paint. I love lasers. We have so many lasers here. So we make everything here in the United States. We're not imported, we're not from China. And we make everything like we design it, we create it, we cut it, we pack it, we do everything right here in Southeast Ohio. And all of that, we're really proud of what we do. We really love doing this for you. But so look at the detail on that laser cut snowflake. Is that not the most amazing thing? Like, it's so intricate. It's incredible. It makes me happy when I see things that are so detailed like that. So I'll do 2 coats of this. And then I'm going to grab some Decor multi-purpose sealer. Okay. And that is so it will be sticky, so that we can glitter it. And I'm going to bring this glitter tray over here. For this project, the glitter tray is overkill because a little piece of paper would probably do it just fine. And but when you are doing a big project and you need to capture your glitter, so this glitter is like more expensive than blood. So you want to make sure that you're capturing your glitter and putting it right back in. So it's got this little plug right here. And you pull that off, if you can. And then once you have all your glitter down there, you just take the lid off and you just put it right back in. Okay, so I'm going to take that multi-purpose sealer. I'm going to get that all wet with that sticky, varnishy stuff. And we'll take the Glamour Dust, which is also a Decor Art product. Oops, hey. Don't do it over there. This is one of the glitteriest, pretty glitters that I've ever used. Really recommend. Okay, so once you get that glittered, and now you have your little piece that you're going to use. And what you do, I'll show you this one. You just hot glue your magnet. We carry the ultra. These are rare earth magnets. You hot glue that on the back, and then your other magnet is freestyling, and then you can start at December 1st and move your way all the way down to the magic day. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this lesson. Please share with your friends, with your painting groups, and let us know what you liked about it, and let us know if you have any questions. And we'll see you tonight in the recast, and have a great day.